feel what Batman's going through, right? So I go, the best way for me to do that is to at first keep things in tight and intimate, right? The closer you are, the more intimate it becomes. So, and the down shot, it also shows weakness for Batman, and then I take it in close, and you feel the blows because you're right there with the blows. So I don't even need to show talent. It makes it even more, you personalize with Batman if you don't see Talon's face. You just are seeing him pounding into Batman. And so then I draw back so that the reader can more easily see it. And now, you know, Scott says, you know, all the Talon, you know, owl, corral, people are cheering along the side. All right, well, you could, again, you could go conventional and actually try and draw them doing that. But again, I wanted to keep all the focus intimate on Batman. So I made the storytelling choice of doing basically a silhouette and just open silhouette of the court of owls above. So I tell the same story that Scott wants me to say to you. I'm conveying you the same information. You could tell they're cheering. You could tell Batman's getting pounded. And I use design as the way to meet that end. And so then back to the close, intimate, boom, 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 and then you pull back so that you get the impact. So you use camera angles and camera distance as a way, put this guy right to sleep, and as a way to give impact. So we have all the close shots with the impact, boom, 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 and then you pull back so you get the full motion, the full body, and you really get the impact of that. Next. Yeah, this is good scary stuff. Let's see, what was I wanting to talk about when I got to that one? All right, so anyway, I'll just walk you through, right? So I take the down shot in the first shot because I want to show that he's beaten down, and anytime you come up on top, something becomes lower than you. So that shows him in a lower place. So that was the choice in the down shot. And also, I'll go all over the place for a little bit. When you pick up a shot too, it's not only for the psychological impact of that shot, but it's also necessary to always ask yourself, what are the elements of information that I need to convey in that panel to the reader? And sometimes an overhead shot is the only shot you can take to give all of the information you need to demonstrate. As an example, you're shooting a game of pool and there's balls on the table and this is part of the story. Obviously you can't take a worm eye view, you can't see the tabletop. So this is also part of the thinking too, but I use it as psychology and information telling. So now I put the camera down right by Batman. So now it becomes, instead of an objective shot, it becomes a subjective shot. So now you're down there with Batman. So when all those people are standing over and flying down the wall, then you're kind of experiencing what Batman's experiencing. So then we show his horrified eye, and now we get the telling of the story, how they're all coming up to him. We get the little flash cuts. Again, you know, flash cuts to me, they give you that scary quality that you see in movies all the time, horror movies and stuff. We just see flash cuts where there's a blood splatter on the wall, just little flashes of information. I think that adds to the drama and the pacing. So we go back and forth, and then I get this nice, sweet, touching moment where you think she's covering Batman, because that's going to set me up for the next creep shot, which is her licking her face. And so then I have her holding a doll with a nice smile. Oh, isn't that sweet, that smile? Which makes this licking the blood off his face even more creepy. So I could have done this, crop that doll's head right out of the thing. Instead, I used the prop of the doll to me, accentuate that. So a lot of artists, you know, they hate to draw props. It's just one more thing you gotta draw. Props are your friend. The doll helped me to make that more creepy. So always use the props that are available to you and think of what props you can use, and always try and work those props into it. Whether it's using it for camera angles, if you've got a gated fence, shooting through a gated fence to make an interesting shot, use your props to your advantage. Next. All right, okay, so they've descended on him now, and so now here's where he finds that grandfather had been through the same thing. So he looks over, more bit there, and I reverse the shot and you see Grandpa. Okay, so now here's where we build the tension. Ding, ding, ding. They're all flash cuts butted up against each other, which adds tension and that just kind of pacing. So we back and forth, and each time punching closer, because what you do then, the closer you get, this shows the window of the soul, this is our emotion, our eyes. So as they punch in closer, it draws you more into the heart, more into the emotion. And then, so Scott says, you know, okay, then Batman gets really angry. So I go, okay, gets really angry. So the way I chose to, again, accentuate that, I used to have bad temper, used to be in a lot of fights, all that, and I would literally see red, just to wash over me. I didn't even know what I was doing anymore. So I go, that's what I'm going to do. So as the eye starts to turn toward the owls wash out, and I told SEO, paint them red, because at this point, that's all Batman's seeing, the color red. So this is the kind of things that I'm letting you know. This is how I think. When I'm drawing my page, I'm getting a script, I'm going, how do I tell this? Scott just goes, Batman gets mad. Okay, well, this is how I'm choosing to demonstrate it. The eye turns, that's it. The color goes away, the detail goes away. He can't see anything but blood. Next. Okay, so here was another golden opportunity. Me and Batman was on drugs and all this hallucination. I go, okay, he's really bad, he's exploding, and so Scott said, you know, and he just gets so mad, and he throws them off. So I go, how would you feel about the idea that Batman's like the size of King Kong? I go, you know, because it really would show what he's feeling. He goes, that's perfect. Do it, man. It's cool. So again, you know, I looked at, when you get a script from a writer, a lot of writers, they tell you, draw this in this panel, this angle, blah, blah, blah. I don't work that way, and I'm blessed that writers give me my room. And so my job and my joy of doing this is when I get the script, how can I bring this to the next level? And so I look for opportunities. I go, hallucinogenic drugs, you know, symbolic of his anger, and boom, and it came out pretty cool. What do you think? Yeah. Next. Okay, now when I talked about motifs earlier with the circles and stuff, all right, now I'm convinced that most people don't even pick up on the stuff that I put in, but you're here so I can tell you what I put into this. So Batman, as you know, he was beat down severely, and now here's where he hobbles back to the entrance, one of the entrances to the Batcave. So Scott said, there's an electrical grid fence at that entrance. Okay, cool. There's my prop. How can I use it? I'll build the motif. Now, Batman, I'm thinking, he just escaped all that stuff. He sees the Batcave and Alfred as salvation. So, I take the grid, I crop it in such a way that it looks like the Holy Cross. Boom, still looks like the cross. And at this point, you don't know what it is. If there's a movie, you know, you see the shape of a cross. Then you pull back, you see it's the grid, and it makes sense. Okay, so that was an example where on a subconscious level, I'm going to go, Batman has reached salvation. Now, whether you're Christian or whatever, universally we understand that's what that symbol means. And so that's why I chose to use it. Now, Batman never cries. But I want Batman to cry. So, how do I get around it? Well, he's just in the sewers. Water's dripping down all the time. So, the water droplet, I have it start high on the head. Happens to roll down the right path and down his face, so without Batman crying, because Batman's not a pussy, I get to show Batman shedding a tear. There you go. Next. Okay, back to there's a pyramid design, nice, strong. They're all coming up. He's at the peak. Very simple and easy to read. You don't need to get crazy. Now it's an elaborate scene. All the owls that are coming to get him, right? How can I simplify that? So you try and distill. I try and distill. And get the purest essence and cut away from all the extraneous nonsense so that I get just the truest essence of what I'm trying to put across, and that's the result. I could have chosen an angle where I see more of the mansion. Does that serve anything in the storytelling? No, it doesn't. How about an elaborate sky? Does that add anything? Nah, kind of doesn't. I need to tell that Bruce Wayne is fighting for his life at the very edge of Wayne Manor. So, boom, what is the information? Give the minimum amount of information, and that's what you do. Next. Okay, here you go, another iconic image. Okay, so this is when Batman's turned the tables and he's got the idea and he's got one of the masks, so, you know, crushing one of the masks. How can I make that kind of cool, right? I want him to be like the angel of death. So I go, I'll take an owl flying, I'll take the shadow, and I'll put that on the wall behind him to give the impression of wings. So now Batman looks like the angel of death coming to seek retribution. So again, I gotta here are my elements, here's what I want to say, what is the most creative way I can say, yeah.
How do you soften the edges of the
Well, see that, now that is digital. You can't, yeah, I mean, if I could do that, traditionally what you do, you take black ink, you know, and while it's still wet, take a wet brush and soften the edge that way. But no, with stuff like that, you don't have time. I got to cut through and go fast. So import it digitally, blur tool, done. You know. So, next. Okay, next. Okay, that's just layout. I wanted you to see again. I think we went full circle. All right. Okay, so that's it. You can shut that down, boss. Thanks, man. So anyway, that's sort of, you know, you like that? So anyway, this is what I do. I get the story, and I read it several times, because what happens for me is a movie rolls in my head. And so, but that's not the end of it, because it's not a movie, and so I don't have the choice of as many shots. With film, Christ, you could use so many flash shots to give bits of information, and it really is easier than this. Here, I have the task of picking the right shot and trying to capture that same thing, like I told you about taking those beats and putting them next to together. In a film, that goes like this, boy. And here I have to do a lot of heavy editing and try and give you the same feeling you would get in a movie, but with far less panels and picking those shots. So when I see the movie, and I read it through,